Slovakia. The so-called white European Jews. In the previous chapters, I have adduced evidence that the people who are the main focus of the Bible were a nation of so-called black people known as Hebrew-Israelite Jews. The question which some readers need answered are as follow. Who are the white European Jews? When did they convert to Judaism? Are the Jews a race? Because most books do not deal with the non-Hebraic ancestry of most white or so-called white Jews. The truth about their ethnic background is hidden. The so-called white European Jews are not descended from the biblical patriarchs Jacob and his 12 sons known as the children of Israel. Continuing. The so-called white European Jews are descended from Esau, the brother of Jacob. These are the people referred to in Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. And but that also, sometimes scripture is multifold, So, yeah, you can use it to talk about Esau, but it's also really talking about two-third Jake. A biblical account of the story of the two nations, Esau, Edom, and Jacob, Israel, is recorded in Genesis chapter 25. I'm going to go get this so it can be on the same chord. And 22. And children strove together within her, and she said, if it be so. Okay. Esau is the father of the so-called white Edomites, also known as Idumeans, who, with other ethnic groups such as the Khazars, which are pretty much all the same people, it's saying so-called white European Caucasians and others make up modern Jewry as it is known today. These so-called white groups, that is, Esau's descendants and the Khazars, converted to Judaism over the centuries. This will be discussed under the heading conversion. The biblical account of creation indicates that Yahweh created man in his own image out of the dust of the ground. This would include one race of mankind, some of which later became different colors over the centuries because of climatic conditions and by the will of Yahweh, by Yeshem Yahushua, which was manifest when two nations were born of Rebekah. Genesis 23. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Prior to the 17th century, less emphasis was placed on race and on color. In the 17th century, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach was the first to divide mankind according to skin color. That's deep. Prior to this time, people were named after the country in which they lived. The name was equated with the country. After the destruction of mankind by the flood, the whole world was repopulated from Noah, his wife, their three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, which you can read in Genesis 6 and 10, verse 18, and chapter 9 and verse 19. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshesh, and Teraz. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenazi, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanium. By these are the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after the families in their nation, which was Genesis 10, verses 2 through 5. The term Gentile is defined in the Bible dictionary as a nation, people, a non-Israelite people. As stated above, emphasis was not placed on color during this time. Therefore, the names of the people were equated with the country. According to Harper's Bible Dictionary, Japheth's offspring inhabited the islands of Asia Minor from the rugged plateaus south of the Caspian Sea and around the Black Sea to the northeastern shores and islands of the Mediterranean. A large part of the known world was largely of Indo-European stock. So that's how you know this is outdated, because they're trying to say Esau's of Japheth when the elders actually going to, that's funny because Elder Malcolm just did a video about, the people in those lands, that were really Japhet, and that's like the Hawaiians and I forgot what the other ones they called, but and he it was actually a very edifying video. You should check it out. I can't remember the name of the video, but it shows it's a guy that was like a Green Beret or a Navy SEAL or something. He goes around to different parts of the world and basically, you know, watching or studying their fighting techniques or whatnot. And I want to say it's like Hawaiian, Somalians, not Somalians, but some. Um, they kind of the Somalians. They kind of favor like uh, um, damn, I can't think of what they call like the ones that look like they Hawaiian, you know. But that was all Japhet, you know what I mean. And then Esau, gotta remember Esau came in and took over their land. So, like I said, this information is kind of outdated. So, I don't know if I'm gonna skip all this. In his book From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 22 and 23, Rudolph Windsor gives additional information regarding the biblical account of Japheth's descendants. He states, after Noah's ark rested on the Mount of Ararat, at the dispersal of the children of men at the Tower of Babel, Japheth's descendants traveled northwest, north, and northeast to the mountainous regions of the Caucasus into Europe. Japheth's offspring dwelt mostly near the north of the Black and Caspian Seas. They were originally black, but turned white. The theory of probability is that major mutations or changes took place among the descendants of Japheth. Anthropologists have found different kinds of mutations in certain parts of the world. Physical mutations is a sudden variation of change, the offspring differing from their parents and outstanding characteristics. Also, a major change in the chromosomes or genes that determine heredity. Blonde hair among the black Australian Aborigines is an example of a mutation, and probably albinos are a good example of mutation. With their white skin, woolly hair, thick lips, and European noses, any sudden changes from the normal is to be regarded as a mutation. Other examples are blottism or leprosy or whiteness among monkeys, apes, and chimpanzees. They trying to say blondism or whiteness. We're gonna go to what scripture call it. It's called leprous or leprosism. Leprosy, Salakia, not leprosism. Leprosy or I agree with Windsor's research. The following excerpt gives credence to this. Scientists have reached general agreement in recognizing that mankind is one, that all men belong to the same species. Mankind are due to the operation of evolutionary factors or differentiation such as isolation, drift, and random fixation of the material particles which control heredity. The genes changes in the structure of particles, hibernation, and natural selection, race, and science. Based on the above information, we can really see that scientists agree that initially there was one race of mankind. The generally accepted theory about race, which has resulted from 20th century studies, physical anthropology, genetic, and biology, indicate that mutations, environment, and change in the genes are factors which cause change in skin color, and not the blending of blood. William Boyd's discussion of genetics and the races of man, page 178, regarding changes in the composition of individual genes, concurs with the aforementioned study. He indicates that the only difference which distinguishes one race from another or one species from another are found to be simply collections of the same sort of individual differences which mutations produce. He defines mutation in this work as any fresh chromosomal change with a genetic effect. His research further bears out that there is a direct relationship between the intensity of the ultraviolet radiation and the intensity of pigmentation. We shall find the blackest skins among men in the hottest parts of the world with strong sun. In the very cold part of the world, further away from the equator, with less sunlight, we find lighter skins among men. In view of the foregoing information, one can glean impressive evidence about how color changes. The theory of probability is that mutation occurred in the offspring of Japhet, who lived in the cold region in the Caucasus Mountains. Japhet was originally a black man, and his descendants became white over the centuries. According to, see, like I said, still saying that Japhet, I'm getting tired, Salakia. So I wouldn't even have read that if I paid attention because, like I said, they're still under the assumption and the theory that Japhet, that's where Esau come from. You know what I mean? When, to show you how bamboozled they is, though, they just admitted that, Esau is uh, Esau's an Edomite. It did, Jacob. So they just admitted that it came. I mean, the two nations came from Rebecca and Isaac, or Isaac and Rebecca, Salakia, Isaac and Rebecca. So then, how you get to this Japheth? You know what I mean? Like, so the spirit was working with him, but I guess I don't know. It says in the previous paragraphs, I traced the ancestry of the white Europeans who adopted Judaism to Noah's son. We shall now trace the ancestry of the white European Jews who were descended from Esau. Abraham begot Ishmael and Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob and Esau. Jacob, Israel, is the father of 12 sons known as the children of Israel. The Bible gives us the ancestry of the white. That's a spirit too. It just went straight into this. The Bible gives us the ancestry of the white, so-called white European Jews who stem from Esau. Isaac's wife, Rebekah, gave birth to twins, namely Esau and Jacob. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb. I was just reading that. What's that, 25? And what's that, 23? 22. 23. Yes. And the first came, and the elder shall serve, and say, and two people shall be, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And he was red all over because, his blood shows forth through his skin. He has no melanin. Well, he has melanin. He just doesn't have melanin, a large amount of melanin. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. In Genesis 25, we read that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for red porridge, uncooked meat. Therefore, his name was called Edom, which that ain't why. He founded the country, so his name is equated with the country. Khan, and that's the truth. So going back to I need to write that down too about that guy William. Oh no, Joanne Frederick Bloombach. Esau is therefore described in the Bible as a ruddy, hairy man. This describes a white man. He is red and hairy. Jacob's remarks about Esau's complexion was evident that Esau, was different when he said to his mother, Rebecca, Esau is a hairy man and I am a smooth man. The New Compact Bible Dictionary defines the word ruddy as a word used to refer to red or fair complexion in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrew, which, like I said, they got all these different revisions, and that's the spirit again, because Elder Malcolm just went into Rudy. He was talking about, he was reading out of, I got the book too. It went into, I know it's by a guy named Snowden. It's Blacks in Antiquity, I believe. And he was talking about Agamemnon, the dude that was the king of kings in the movie Troy, in which he was a black man, you know what I'm saying? And the word Rudy went into like, it doesn't mean red like they tried to portray. It meant like youthful looking or handsome or something like that. It didn't mean red like I said, they're trying to get you to believe. Um, Esau is the so-called white brother to Jacob, and the father of biblical Israelites. Esau's name was changed to Edom. Genesis 25 and 30. May need to eat something. Akim, maybe that'll give me some more strength. Lord will. He is the father of the so-called white Edomites. 25. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore, his name called Edom. It is possible that Rebekah had the gene pool for all colors. The Bible gives us information about Esau intermarrying among the black people, so-called black people, who were not Hebrew Israelites. Esau went on to Ishmael, and he went on to a lot of Canaanites. He took onto the wives which he had. Mahathla, the daughter of Ishmael's, Abraham's son. I'm going to just go to scripture and get it. 28 and 9. Esau also took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Ahlabam, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, the Basmath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. Genesis 36 and 2. So majority he was mixing with Ham, trying to get his melanin. Therefore these descendants of Esau will be called Ishmaelites, Canaanites, Hittites, and Hivites. We have already identified Esau as the father of the so-called white race. This explains in part when the races of the Bible began to mix or intermarry. We also see in scriptures where enmity commenced between the nations Esau and Jacob when Jacob tricked Esau out of his birthright and stole his blessing. The following is the summary of this story. And I'm not about to read all this, but you can read all this in Genesis chapter 27, verse 1 and 43. And I'm going to stop on that note and